evening. Good to have you with us back here on this Monday evening edition of the Urban Debate. Diwali is over, but the people of Delhi and NCR region continue to live in toxic gas chamber. What has added to the problem of pollution is the pandemic that has now brought a situation of a health emergency in the national capital. Before we open this up for conversation and ask if Delhi is actually ready to tackle this health emergency, let me put before you some interesting data points to tell you just how serious the situation is. For example, if you take a look at the number of deaths that were being reported in the month of June, when we saw a peak in Delhi, a week before the peak, there were 397 deaths that were reported in the national capital. On the peak day, 23 deaths were recorded in the month of June. If I had to tell you what's happening now, you will be shocked. The week before current peak, I'm not saying we've peaked right now, but the week before the current peak, 525 deaths were recorded on the peak day. The worst we've seen so far, 104 deaths were recorded in one single day because of coronavirus. Let that sink in. 104 deaths. It's essentially in the month of November. Now if you see the place that Delhi has reached, 4 people are being killed by COVID every hour in Delhi. So people not only have to now tackle pollution, but it's in fact a twin battle this winter season if you add COVID to it. Now, while the centre has taken steps to address some concerns, the big question still remains, is Delhi really ready to tackle this health emergency? We've also opened up our phone lines. We want to hear from our viewers, those in and around NCR, what they're facing, the troubles they're facing, the concerns they have. It's only when we make it about you and we bring your voice do we hope that the governments realize just how big and grave this crisis is. Let's say good evening to Anila Singh, spokesperson for the BJP, Atishi, national spokesperson for the Aam Aadmi Party and an MLA joining us this evening, Abhishek Dutt, spokesperson for the Congress Party, Dr. Rajesh Chawla, senior consultant for respiratory medicine and critical care at Indraprastha Apollo Hospitals. We've also got Bhavreen Kandhari, environmentalist, who joins us this evening, and Dr. Suresh Kumar, medical director for LNJP Hospital, also with us this evening. Thank you to all of you for joining us right now. Let me actually first go across to Atishi. Atishi, I think we had enough warnings about how grave and serious the situation could become. We are headed that way, still not reached the point that has been speculated about or projected, so to say. But are we really ready in terms of ICU beds and ventilators and medical staff?
So I think one of the things that we need to understand about COVID-19 and this pandemic is that none of us really understands this, not in Delhi, not in India, not in Delhi. Definitely seems to be a third wave of the disease. And I think what is making this wave in some ways more severe is the fact that we are also at the peak of the stubble burning season when pollution peaks in Delhi. And as a consequence, it seems, and the doctors on the panel can probably give more details on this is causing cases to become more severe.
Atishi, we're going to try and fix that network with you because we keep losing your feed over there, and I will come back to you. Let me see if I can actually go to one of the medical experts on this issue. Dr. Rajesh Chawla, the fact that many of our experts warned that winters and pollution will only make it difficult was known. But would you say that we are in, uncharted territory right now? We don't know the extent of damage that can be done?
Exactly. There's a lot to be learned still, but the certain facts are very clear that now we have quite a large number of patients who are suffering from this, and this coincides with the level of air pollution. A lot of theories, a lot of uh, explanation have been given. One of them is that when the air pollution rises, the inflammation, the PM 2.5 and the other particles, they cause the inflammation in the airways. And viral infection itself causes a lot of inflammation. So probably once the inflammation is there because of air pollution, your lungs are weak. So they say that the body is not able to fight the virus that well, and that's why the more number of patients who are having not only the disease but also the severe disease. The other explanation is given is that once the pollution is high, the PM 2.5 the particles, they carry on the virus on them, and they remain suspended for a longer time, and more can be inhaled by more people, and it can lead to increase in the number of cases. But definitely we are seeing now that there is an absolute increase in the number of cases, but also we are noticing there is more severe. And as you can know, the data also shows that we have more deaths in Delhi now as compared to the earlier months.
So, would it be fair to say that these deaths, the number of deaths, the health of people is worsening, is aggravating, is intensifying because of the added COVID pressure? Every year we do see a lot of problems being reported, people landing up at the hospital a day after Diwali complaining about respiratory issues. As the weather intensifies, there are other infections that take place. How different is the scenario this time, Dr. Chawla?
This time, there is a lot of gloom. That's what we noticed. And in spite of the facts that people knew about the effects of pollution, people knew about the effect of the COVID, but there were a lot of rush in the markets, a lot of people met, and the spreaders, asymptomatic people spreaded this disease. And you asked how is it different from the last time? See, the pollution level definitely has been higher this time, and added to this is this dreaded disease. So both have caused the further deterioration in the condition of the patient. Every year near Diwali, before this and after this, there are more number of respiratory cases. But this time, with the added COVID-19, there are even more people, not only from the respiratory diseases, but also people with added COVID-19 and seeking admissions. Because, if you go around in all the hospitals, every half an hour, I will get a call to get a bed for somebody who is sicker, who needs oxygen, who's desaturating, like that.
Okay, so if I can take that point across, and before I go to our political representatives, if I can actually have Dr. Suresh Kumar, also shed some light on this. Dr. Kumar, should we not have been prepared with more ventilators and ICU beds earlier? We knew that those who fall ill and get COVID would perhaps be at a more serious stage. That part, at least for the last 1.5 months, our experts have been telling us. Why is it now that we hear of the government saying that they're bringing in more ICU beds, more ventilators, that the existing facilities, which were essentially what we created in the summers, are really of no use?
If you see the number of cases over last 2 weeks, there's a dramatic increase in the number of cases and the number of cases requiring ICU beds and ventilatory beds. We already had a large capacity in Delhi Government Hospital, and one of the largest hospital of North India, Loknayak Hospital, have 430 beds, 200 ventilatory beds and 230 non-invasive beds. But this is as you know, that third spike and number of cases is coming between 7,000 or near 8,000. And similarly, in same proportion, the number of patients requiring ventilatory supports, oxygen supports have gone up. And 80 to 90% of our ventilatory beds are already in place. And most of these patients who are sick, and every year around Delhi, because of pollution and poor air quality, the oxygen level in a patient who is already COPD or asthma or other associated illness, we see this time that number of cases requiring ICU beds have gone up, and we are fully prepared for that. We have already made arrangement. Delhi government has a robust healthcare facility, And we are sure that with more beds coming up and added, we can manage this COVID problem very effectively.
To understand, Dr. Kumar, that we are now adding more beds for ICU and with ventilators. I mean, of course, we know that the jumbo facility that was created earlier simply has regular beds which are of no use because the cases which are coming in right now are, a lot more serious cases. Others can go home and be in home isolation. So is this not something we should have prepared earlier? There was a report that came over a month ago which spoke about a spike like this.
No, that's not true. We have already added around 80 beds in last 2-3 weeks. And after that report, during festival season, we were knowing that definitely surge will be there and more patients would be requiring ventilator and ICU facility. And so we have added ICU beds as well in Delhi government hospitals. And Loknayak alone, we have increased beds around 80 to 90 beds we have increased.
Okay, so you're saying the beds have been increased. Let me just also take our viewers through, some more interesting data that we have for you. And this was just running on your screens just a short while ago, but I want to emphasize on it just again to tell you, if you remember in the month of May and June, when we were all still in, under tighter restrictions and under a tougher lockdown, what we were looking at in terms of cases, which was then our peak, was about 3,600 cases, 3,000 cases, 2,900 cases, 3,900 cases. That was the kind of number of cases on a daily basis that we were looking at. If you had to compare it to the month of November, and that's on your screens right now, look at the difference. It's double. November 15th is an aberration. Usually we do see a bit of a fall that happens on weekends. Fewer people get tested. Testing also goes down. So I would ask you to not really consider November 15th as a sigh of relief just yet, unless more days that we see now show a similar trend. But otherwise, you will see how it's almost double and more of what we were seeing the last time around. Now, the question here then becomes, did we prepare our infrastructure accordingly? And at no point am I advocating another lockdown. Anila Singh, today we are being told that the centre held a meeting and they said they're going to, bring in more medical staff, bring in more, healthcare professionals, look at ramping up testing, look at adding more beds and ventilators. Isn't this a bit late? Shouldn't these things have been done a month earlier?
Not on me, not at all. Because if I talk about the central government and if I talk about the Delhi government as well, both the governments, they are in good collaboration and they are working day in and day out to give best of the facilities to the people living in Delhi and all those patients who are coming to Delhi for the treatment. And the right authorities, whether I talk about the medical authorities or if I talk about a home ministry, all the ministries, they are in right coordination with each other. And they know it because this virus has not gone anywhere and everybody knew that winters are coming and air pollution is going to go worse and COVID patients are going to get increased because of the atmospheric conditions as well. So the governments were prepared. But at the same time, continuously work is going on. And in the month of June also, we had seen that Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, he had gone forward and he took the cognizance of the situations of corona in the city, or I can say Delhi state, and several measures were taken. And this time also, Mr. Amit Shah, he personally, he has come ahead and he talked to CM Mr. Arvind Kejriwal ji. And I think both the governments, they have come to an understanding and Home Ministry has given 12-pointer strategy program as well. So here the governments are to take care of the patients because when we talk about the patients, they are not divided into any sort of political parties or the central government or the state government. We are here to save their lives. And I think both the governments, they are they're doing good work to control coronavirus.
Let me actually take our viewers through what has been discussed and what was decided, and some of those details were just running. In fact, the Home Minister has said that the hospital capacity in Delhi and the availability of other medical infrastructure has to be ramped up considerably, should be ramped up considerably. 250 to 300 additional beds with ICU will be added to the existing medical facility of the DRDO, which is in Dhola Kua. The 10,000 bed COVID care center established in Chhatarpur will also be strengthened. Now, we have to keep in mind, viewers, and we did a check about this. You don't need 10,000 beds if they don't have ventilators or even oxygen cylinders and other critical care equipment along. Because the patients who are now coming in are in a serious condition. The reason you're also seeing a much, much higher death toll, over 100 in a day, is also for that reason. Which is why the preparations that we actually did in the month of May and June may not necessarily simply help us in the month of November and December if the situation worsens from here on. Abhishek, that's the big part. If the situation worsens from here on, are we ready to tackle that?
First of all, let me just tell our viewers that on 30th January is when WHO had declared coronavirus as a national health emergency. And it is so sad to see what happened on the day of Diwali. The spokesperson from Bharatiya Janata Party just mentioned that both the governments are working together. I want to understand the massive cracker burning in Delhi. Who was responsible for it? Were both the parties responsible, or they'll place the blame on the other party? Why things are getting bad in Delhi? It has not happened in the last 2-3 days. Testing is something that the government has seriously compromised on. I would like to tell you some facts. October 10th is when the number of COVID cases were increasing in Delhi, and the number went up to 7,000. But the testing was still the same. There was a statement by the Honorable Health Minister today, Satyendra Jain, saying that the third phase of COVID is over. I want to ask the minister, with so many deaths, we are touching 1% death every day. Number of cases are 7,000 more, and the numbers are not, stopping. Is this the end of the phase, or it is beginning of another phase? I fail to understand how do they manage to get these data and give such big statements? And even on the day of Diwali, I was surprised to see the chief minister along with his entire ministry sitting on stage with loud music, not wearing masks, having a public gathering. And you are at one side, you're telling people in Delhi they can't do Chhat Puja, they can't do other festivals. And on the other side, you're sitting with 200 people having a big show. And how do you expect people to stay at home? The government has to follow the norms that they are advocating. If the chief minister is breaking law on camera, how do you expect other people to stay at home? After 2 days, there's Chhat Puja. There were some people who had come to visit me in the office today. They asked me if the Honorable Chief Minister can celebrate Diwali on a stage with 200 people and loud music. Why can't we perform Chhat Puja on ghats? So, the government has to take COVID seriously. They can't break rules for their own photo ops. Secondly, where infrastructure is concerned, I agree. There are beds available in government hospital, but do you realize what is happening in Delhi? No one wants to go to government hospitals because of poor infrastructure facilities available inside the hospital. Call up any private hospital today from your studio. You won't get a single bed, let alone ICU beds. I'm telling you, ordinary beds are not available. There are major crises in Delhi, and the government should have prepared on this. They had good 5 months. This wave had come down. We all witnessed average 4,000 cases in Delhi, and they were doing testing. But then now when the figures are going up, again, we've come back to square one. Again, we don't have beds, we don't have ICU facilities. And today there was another statement that they will try and call retired doctors.
Yeah.
On one side, they say 60 years and above should not leave their premises. On the other side, you want 60 years retired doctors, nurses, paramedical staff to come and work in COVID centers. That means automatically their chances of getting COVID also goes up.
Right. Well,
So
I
government
agree
should have-
with you, Abhishek, that there has to, the leadership in any state has to lead by example. Unfortunately, that's not what happens in our country, and that's the same throughout. And if you're raising and giving examples for what the Delhi government, where they should have led by example and they haven't, yes. But let's just be honest, neither does the Congress nor does the BJP. If I had to start citing examples today at the oath-taking ceremony, I don't want to sit here and name who all were not wearing masks. And were on the stage together. So let's just be honest about it. I think, one minute, I got your point. They should. I agree with you. I think people need to stop looking towards our politicians for any kind of leading by example. Let's just forget that part. If people of Delhi, the National Capital Region, all of NCR, all of North India right now, where pollution is a severe problem in winter season, if they genuinely care about their own lives, if they genuinely care about the well-being of their loved ones, their family, their elders, the children, then they need to start leading by example. Then they need to stop treating this so callously. Then they need to start realizing that 4 people are dying every single hour just because of COVID in the national capital. You cannot take it so lightly that you forget to wear your mask. You go into crowded markets, you attend Diwali parties, you attend weddings, all of that. It's in the hands of people. It's completely in the hands of citizens right now, which is why I also want them to call up and share their views. Let me see if I can go across to Atishi. We've had a tough time with the audio line. Atishi, we're going to try. But there is one point that the Congress party has raised here, which I would like you to respond. Basis what is Mr. Jain, Satyendra Jain, saying that the third peak is gone and we are looking at the end of this third wave?
So I think there's 2 or 3 things that I would like to point out. Number one, of course, as I was saying at the beginning of the show when the audio issue happened, is that we all need to understand that the behavior of this virus and how it spreads is something that the entire world is still looking to understand. So when we say that the COVID third wave seems to have peaked, we are going by the way the cases have peaked in the previous 2 waves as well. So we are making an estimation, number one. Number two, as you said that why were we not prepared for this? I think we have to see the fact that Delhi, in fact, more than any other city or any other state, has ramped up its medical infrastructure at an extremely fast pace. The dilemma basically happens in the case of COVID care is that the number of COVID beds you keep on increasing when the disease is not at a peak actually reduces the infrastructure for other patients. And this is the reason why, as you know, the fact that the Delhi government order that some of the big private hospitals need to have 80% of their ICU beds for COVID patients was actually stopped by the courts. And that is one of the reasons why ICU beds were in shortage. And fortunately, the Supreme Court intervened and that stay has now been lifted. And some of the larger hospitals do have now 80% of their beds available. Plus, because we felt that infrastructure needs to be ramped up, it was the Delhi government that initiated a dialogue with the center. And all of you who are journalists know more than anyone else that these 2 governments, most of the time, are at loggerheads with each other. But as far as COVID is concerned, there has been a healthy collaboration. Our government reached out on the central government. The Home Minister chaired a meeting. Because now, with the cases becoming severe, there was a need for ICU beds and there was a need for the center to step in and, if needed, to pool in resources from other states. And that is precisely what is happening. We are getting in medical staff from paramilitary forces across the country. The DRDO facility is ramping up its ICU beds within the next few days. So hopefully, yes, we will be in a better situation over the next couple of days.
I also want to just highlight what the latest report on the pollution level says. And I know we've just celebrated Diwali. Many of us have refrained from adding to the pollution. Others have chosen to, at least for this one day, forego that part and celebrate their festival. Irrespective, the CPCB report says pollution levels in Diwali were higher as compared to 2019. Now, this is not just because people were bursting more fireworks. There are several other reasons for it. But the fact of the matter is that the situation is actually worse this year than it was last year. It goes on to say that all pollutants are higher as compared to 2019 Diwali day. The contribution of stubble burning is more than last year. How have we reached this point? Bhavreen Kandhari, if you can help our viewers understand the fact that we are saying that, despite all the conversation and all the discussions and steps that various governments claim that they are taking, we are looking at a situation that this Diwali or this period right now was more toxic than last year.
There is absolutely no doubt. We've seen not only last year, in Delhi, it's the worst Diwali in the last 4 years. And besides crackers, stubble burning, every factor that has, played a role, a very, very significant role. And now for the last 2-3 months, we know that after the Harvard study, etc., that how COVID is going to spike with the air pollution. There were there has to be strict regulation, absolutely strict regulation, and that didn't happen. Making statements and doing certain ad hoc, taking some ad hoc measures doesn't help. And as we saw, this last week or last couple of weeks, when the air pollution has gone high, there has been maximum number of deaths in COVID. We have over 50,000 COVID cases in the last month. So there is a direct relation with air pollution, and this should have been taken very, very seriously. Now, even the last year's Supreme Court orders, which is a very basic requirement of the government giving maybe rupees 100 per quintal to the farmers, is not being taken care of, or whether in crackers, the ban came too late. It was too little and too late. So this is the problem, that we say and we do things, in such a way that they are difficult to implement when it really, needs to be done. And who's suffering? The citizens will suffer. And Tanvi, as much as I agree, like what you were saying, that the citizens have to, obviously be a part of this and understand. But it doesn't work like that. Every move has to be enforced. I have said that before, like the Motor Vehicle Act has been enforced very well in Delhi recently, especially in the lockdown. Even with those really highly sensitive cameras, we all have a phobia of driving, overspeed or, crossing zebra crossings and things, and they're getting challans. And people are learning. They're wearing seat belts. They're wearing masks because they are being fined. But if you don't enforce, if the authorities don't come and enforce, it's not going to happen. This tracker bit was absolutely a big disaster, and it shouldn't have happened. And it's a wrong message that has gone. We have actually, gone and openly, done contempt to both the court, Supreme Court, and the NGT. So it's not acceptable. Now, the steps that have to be taken have to be very, very urgent. And, children's lungs don't have that kind of time. The damage is happening. And, we've had now, as a citizen, I'm telling you, at the ground level, as much as Atishi and, Alina, I appreciate that the governments want to work together and all that. But it's really not happening. On a daily basis, at least I get about 10 to 12 calls that people don't have, and I'm nobody. I'm getting calls that there are no beds, or they need, even the private hospitals, there's a problem, or oxygen cylinders. So it's really not that easy for a common man to, find the relief, COVID relief, as far as the hospitals. And I don't know why we keep talking of beds, because it's really not beds.
Right.
It's like Mr. Dutt said, it's also, the equipment, all the necessities that we need with that.
Okay.
So,
No, you're absolutely right, which is why when we're told about the number of regular beds, I don't think that number really matters anymore. Our own reporter did a check at one of the existing COVID facilities in the national capital, and they said, yes, while we do have the space, for over 5,000 beds, frankly, we not even using 20% of that, and that's because you don't need the facilities which are there. What you need is more critical care equipment, oxygen cylinders or ventilators or ICU beds, which is what now our governments and our hospitals are together looking at adding. Now, if I can just go across to Dr. Shashank Joshi, and Dr. Shashank Joshi, in fact, has a very interesting input to add here. And Dr. Joshi, we don't mean to really scare people or alarm people, but how should we be reading what's happening in the National Capital Region and perhaps in other parts of North India today, where both pollution and the winter season have come together?
Then we need to be very mindful of the fact that when there was the Spanish flu pandemic, almost 1 crore Indians died when the Indian population was 22 crores, and this all happened in the month of November then. And we know that history can repeat itself. We need better preparedness. We need very strict masking. And even though there is a dual jeopardy of pollution and the second or third peak hitting us, we really need to be better prepared, because I think it's time. Otherwise, we'll have to head for another lockdown, which we can't afford. So it's important to recognize that we need to learn from our past lessons almost a century back, from the Spanish flu, which clearly showed that the second peak was more fatal, it was more sinister, it was more dangerous, and it exactly occurred at the same time we are seeing this so-called second wave or the third peak in Delhi. I wish and pray that things can improve quick and fast, but I still don't see that aggressive masking and COVID-appropriate behavior even in places like Delhi.
Oh, no, I don't think in any parts of our country we're witnessing that right now. We've seen internationally, Dr. Joshi, other nations have gone back into a lockdown because they didn't take it seriously. But let me ask you this. We are also discovering and learning new things about coronavirus. In the last 8-10 months, we've done that. But the virus itself is also changing. How far along are we then to understand the kind of threat that exists there right now in the winter season?
So though the virus is predictably unpredictable, as we saw the May spike, that spike clearly was not showing us a trend that the virulence was more. In fact, our case fatality rate was low. What is worrying now from Delhi is the case fatality rate is high. And because the case fatality rate is high, we don't know whether there's a mutant viral strain which is more sinister. And that is the lurking danger we have. We wish and pray that the newer strains have less virulence, but that's something which we need to document and research it further.
All right, Dr. Shashank Joshi, I appreciate you, joining us with your comments as well. Let me actually take it across to our two other medical experts as well. And I want to start off with Dr. Suresh Kumar. Dr. Suresh Kumar, what do we need now to prepare? Let's say that more serious cases are coming in. You're adding to your ICU beds. What about the healthcare staff? Your other in Delhi right now, other treatment services haven't been stopped, and I don't think we can afford to do that. So there is non-COVID treatment and the additional burden of COVID. How do we tackle this?
You are right that we have to balance COVID and non-COVID patients also. We have the large number of patients who have the associated illness, coronary artery disease, diabetic patients, other stroke patients, and these patients also require similar facilities. Right now, we are purely COVID hospital, and we are sending all the patients to our super specialist hospital. We have the Pant Hospital with Maulana Azad Medical College, and we are managing both COVID as well as non-COVID. And both type of patients require indoor facility and advanced ICU care. And Delhi government has done extremely well, that they have planned well. And if you see the healthcare delivery system of Delhi, the people from adjoining northern states are coming for COVID treatment to Delhi. Around 15 to 20% patients are referred from other areas outside Delhi for the better treatment. So I don't agree with that the Delhi health system is not as good, but it's one of the best in the country. And see the number of cases which are tested. So we have the maximum testing. If you see the testing per million, it's more than 3 lakh tests already done in the national capital. And earlier we have managed so well. The first peak and second peak was managed very well.
Yeah.
And similarly, the third wave is going to be we all as a team, we can handle it in a better and effective way.
No, I'm actually, Dr. Suresh Kumar, not at all for a minute saying that Delhi's healthcare is abysmal or disastrous, but the Delhi's challenge is also dual and worse than what we are seeing everywhere else. We were just, my team was just digging out some data, and they told me that Delhi's daily new cases are 7 times more than what New York is registering right now. Its death toll is 5 times more than what London registered last week as well. So for the rest of the world, where London and UK is going into another shutdown, for United States post elections, where they're constantly talking about, the surge in COVID cases, New York facing a disaster, the challenge for Delhi is 5 times, 7 times more than what any of these cities are also witnessing. Now think about that caseload and the pressure, and then compare it to the available infrastructure. That's where your challenge lies, which is why we are having this conversation tonight. Atishi, so apart from today's meeting, what else will be needed to be brought in terms of emergency healthcare infrastructure or medical staff right now? We are creating one facility. Will that be enough?
So I think there's two things. As we said that in terms of medical infrastructure, we have to realize there's several kinds of medical infrastructure that is needed. Number one, there's hospital beds, there's ICU beds, there's hospital staff, and there's ambulances. I mean, all of these things are infrastructure that is needed. As you know, in Delhi, because there was a lot of ramp up of infrastructure, even today, there are enough hospital beds. In hospitals, as we speak right now, there are 50% vacancies for COVID beds. The issue is, as we have been even in terms of ambulances, Delhi has a higher number of per capita ambulances available for COVID patients than any other state across the country. The crisis or the shortage, basically, as we stand today, is of ICU beds. And with ICU beds, what you also need is a greater number of healthcare staff, because intensive care is not just in terms of machines, BiPAP, ventilators, etc. Is a higher number of healthcare workers, be it doctors or nurses. And that is the reason why healthcare workers are being brought in from other parts of the country, especially from paramilitary forces, to ensure that when these intensive care units are brought into place, we have adequate number of healthcare staff who accompany them. You were talking about the lockdown, and I think, but one of the things that one needs to understand is that we are also facing a very challenging situation. We are facing a challenging situation because I think that there is also a very high COVID fatigue now.
Yeah.
There is definitely this is one of the reasons we've seen a spike recently, is because people have been cooped up inside their houses for months. And because of the festival season, they just want to get out of their house. They want to meet their loved ones. They want to meet their friends and their family. So it's also a very difficult balance to try and maintain. And from our side, we are also increasing the awareness campaign along with the medical infrastructure, because finally, it is that which ensures the safety, the masks, the social distancing, the washing of hands. In the last resort is the only thing that can actually reduce the number of cases.
Oh, yes, I absolutely agree with you. I think people are completely fed up. And it's a challenge for anyone right now to continue being in this kind of an isolation. And the festival season has just like tested everybody's restraint and patience. And at some point, people seem to be giving in, which is why it's extremely important for us to tell people the dangers that are lurking outside, to tell them and remind them that what can happen if you don't wear your mask. Let me just very quickly go across to a viewer who's on the phone line, calling us from the NCR region. Hardeep is on the phone line. Good evening, Hardeep. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, obviously there's pollution in the air. That has started about 2-3 weeks ago. But obviously we've opened up everything. We opened up the metro a month and a half ago. So everything is open, all the malls open, the gyms are open, everything's open. So, that is also a concern. Maybe that is the spike we're getting. Pollution might be one of them, but this is also there.
Okay, fair enough. Let me take that point across to our experts as well. Dr. Chawla, would you want to come in here? That how do we really break this data down and say pollution may be one contributor, but what about the fact that now more people are traveling in metro trains, visiting malls, and perhaps also going to theatres?
A lot of things are happening, but definitely the pollution is a major contributor. One thing which I have noticed, I keep on asking all my patients the history, how did they get it? One factor which I find, everybody had a breach and they did not wear mask at particular time. One thing which I have seen, all the doctors, like we are working with COVID patients for the last 8 months, and a lot of other doctors also, the healthcare workers, the one who get disease are the ones who breached, who at some point of time in the family or somewhere discontinued wearing masks. So one factor which is the most important, whether you open the health clubs or the other facilities, if the people wear masks, then the risk is low. We have to change our behavior. The time has come. How many waves will come, you don't know. You have to change your behavior. You don't know how this virus will behave. We were not expecting this kind of a third wave, but this third wave is more dangerous, more severe, more people are getting admitted, and more people are dying. So I think one thing is that both the people, if I'm wearing mask and the person I interact, he's not wearing a mask, then I carry a risk. So if you interact with people and people are wearing masks, so we need to have a universal, the people need to change their behavior. This thing has to be advertised, motivated people, because otherwise, whatever kind of facilities you create, they will be less for such a vast country. This is what I feel, and I always instruct everybody that please wear mask, and wear mask over the nose also, because it is otherwise useless if you do not wear the mask over the nose.
In fact, I just wanted to pick up on the point that you made and highlight it again. And for the viewer who had just called and others as well, keep in mind that the death toll is also higher this time. And so while yes, total case is a different thing, a lot more people may be contracting right now because they're stepping out of their homes. But it's also impacting a lot more people in a very, very serious manner. And it's causing more fatalities than it was in the month of May and June. So, which is something that we have to keep in mind as well, that when there is pollution, your lungs are already, on a weaker foot. There are other complications that are involved. Then it just becomes a lot more difficult, which is perhaps why you're seeing this higher level. Now, what we can do is the big question. Avishek, a quick comment from you and then Anila Singh on what can be done. We still have half of November, all of December and January to go.
What my request to Atishi, she's from the incumbent government, they must increase testing, and the testing should be RT-PCR. Even when you look at the graph, antigen tests are approximately 30,000 and about 15 to 16,000 are RT-PCR tests. We've been saying it non-stop that, you need to increase more RT-PCR tests and also tracing, which is very, very important. I don't know how far it is true, but as far as my sources say, that the governments are not working on tracing. As per the ICMR guidelines, apart from road accident, that is casualties, every death needs to be traced. And in case there is any linkage, that has to be checked so that the spread does not happen. And what is worrying for me is 24th October, which is very recent, number of deaths in Delhi were 36 as reported by the Delhi government news bulletin. Now, when we are touching 100 in a very short span, this seems to be very, very dangerous. This is exactly what one of the experts on your panel, one of the doctors said. The second phase of the disease that happened earlier was very, very dangerous. This is what I see now. And also implementation of laws. I still repeat what I've been saying in your debates earlier also. Focus on public transport. Get more buses. I know it's very difficult for you to buy buses at the moment. I've been, I'll advise it. My suggestion to you is again, get all the private schools are not using their school buses. Get more buses. Apply social distancing in public transport. That is very important. Whenever you cross any bus stand or whenever you see any bus, there are 50 people in one bus. So imagine the kind of spread Delhi is witnessing. Lockdown cannot happen at the moment. We understand because of a lot of other issues. But you can get in another 5,000 buses immediately. Let people comfortably travel with social distancing. And wearing masks is very important. The government has to tell them time and again. But please work on your infrastructure so that even if you have the beds, you have doctors and support staff alongside.
Atishi, would you want to respond to that?
No, I agree with Abhishek that I think that masks is extremely important, and I think that raising awareness as far as masks is concerned is something that needs to be done on a non-stop basis. Second, as far as medical infrastructure goes, I think what we need to understand is it's a difficult trade-off, because if you increase the number of COVID beds that are needed at times of pandemic, there is also a trade-off in terms of the crisis that patients with other diseases face. And that is also some of the things that we have been seeing, is patients for other ailments not being able to get beds. And this is exactly the reason why we reached out to the central government, is because now we feel that both in terms of testing and in terms of infrastructure, there is a certain peak that has been reached. Even in terms of the number of tests, which, Abhishek, by the way, Delhi conducts the highest number of tests per million across the entire country. Both RT-PCR and antigen tests, even if you were to take them separately, are higher than any other state across the country. In terms of ramping up, we have, of course, reached out to the ICMR in yesterday's meeting, asking for their support now for them to bring in certain labs and to increase the number of testing. And finally, Actually, Delhi has extremely aggressive contact tracing. And that is one of the reasons why we have that a lot of cases get detected in Delhi is because there is very high testing that happens because of contact tracing. But yes, as I said, I think that we all need to come together on this, be it the central government, be it the state government, and be it, in fact, a lot of non-profit organizations as well who have come forward and are working in collaboration with us to make sure that we can beat this pandemic.
In fact, I have a question, and maybe our experts can take that. Dr. Chawla, is this a NCR specific problem? There is pollution in several other cities as well. There is winter's cold season in several other cities as well. Why is it that Delhi is one of those where we are seeing a positivity rate of almost 16% now?
You know, Delhi has always been the highest area with the highest pollution. But this is, initially also we had the highest number of cases, and then the other states, the other areas had more cases. It is the beginning. I'm worried because the cities with higher pollution in the coming months may again see the more number of cases. That's what I predict as the winter increases and the pollution level also increases from November to January. So it is not necessarily a Delhi specific problem, but of course right now it is more in Delhi. We have more pollution and more patients suffering from this disease. There could be one reason that we have developed a mutant which is causing this kind of disease, but it has not been investigated. But this could be a possible explanation, which we'll have to investigate further.
Which would be specific to this region, you're saying?
Yeah, it could be, because as you heard Dr. Shashank also saying, that this could be a, there are a lot of problems with this virus. The culture is not done, the testing takes time, and there is more stress on the treatment and other things. This kind of research has really not taken up. But so far, definitely this is more in Delhi, and I predict probably the more areas are also going to have more cases as the winter sets in the other areas and the pollution level rises, particularly in some of the cities where we have high pollution level.
Okay, you are saying that this could happen in other cities as well, particularly those who see high pollution. And off the top of my mind, there are many in North India actually who've broken their own barriers in terms of AQI levels in the last 2 weeks. Be it Lucknow, Kanpur, Ludhiana, across the states, we are seeing this challenge. Dr. Somaraju is on the phone line. He is calling us from Hyderabad and has a point. Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. Not only this issue of COVID, but sometimes you have been following the pollution in Delhi and all other issues in Delhi. The answer to me is shifting away the capital of India from Delhi to somewhere else. And for once, Muhammad bin Tughlaq was right.
Right. Okay, Dr. Somaraju, but there will still be some people living in Delhi, and I think that those will be equally valuable whether or not Delhi is our national capital or not. But just on a more serious note, there are many people who are moving out of the city for the sake of the health, Bavreen, of their children, especially at that age. To expose them constantly to this kind of air is turning out to be damaging. And I think many parents have now begun to take that call to move out of NCR to cleaner air cities.
In fact, this time when the cracker ban was announced, there was a couple of people who usually go because their children have problems and they postponed their plans. But just on the 13th night when the crackers went off and the AQI was worse, that 14th morning they had to rush out of Delhi and in a panic. And these things are happening, and we know that air pollution has seriously affecting. And like Dr. Chawla is also now, and other medical experts have very clearly been saying this. So now, we have to take urgent actions on everything. It's really heartening to see when, all the state government and the central are saying that they want to work together, and it's very, a good feeling for citizens like us. So we have to work on every solution. Like Mr. Dutt said, you need public transport, which is extremely important, waste management, stubble burning, no to crackers. The cracker ban has to be announced as of now for the next 3 years. Till we don't have an AQI of 60, we have to go on we have to treat it like an emergency, like a public health emergency, how we treated COVID. In a matter of, days, there was a lockdown. So we were treating it like that, but we don't treat air pollution, which is really, really critical and which will cause the spiking of COVID. And COVID is not going in a hurry. So this is something that we really need to take, all these actions very, very seriously. Our waste management is in a mess. Smoke towers is not going to help us. It's not, this kind of, the travel machines is not going to help us. There are very simple things that need to be brought in, implemented, enforced. So as a parent, as a citizen, I would want all our legislators to consider.
Absolutely. Fair points being raised there. And COVID, irrespective of whether or not we find a vaccine by this year end, is not going to go away from our lives anytime soon. So we need to still look at these long-term solutions and fix the issues at least for the next year and the year after that. I have another viewer on the phone line. Very quickly, before I go to him, I wanted to ask Dr. Suresh this question as well. Dr. Suresh, for the initial few months, we were given to understand that the youngsters, the children and the elderly and those with comorbidities are a lot more vulnerable. Are we learning any more fresh new lessons in terms of what's happening now because of pollution and winter season, the kind of cases you're seeing now?
We have seen the number of patients admitted in our ICU are beyond 70 years or 80 years or elderly, those who have the low immunity. And at the same time, the complications are much more. The multi-organ involvement is much more. And we have seen the disease profile is changing. We have seen that patient with Guillain-Barré and atypical presentation, other hematological problems, other associated diseases are coming, and new complications are emerging. We also have a lot of patients who have the post-COVID syndromes or post-COVID problems, and the chronic insufficiency is also emerging as a new, as the disease is expanding. We learn more and more about the newer problems, newer complications, and we have seen a large number of patients who not only have the respiratory but other systems like diabetes is uncontrolled, people requiring higher insulin, and patients have other problems also. They have the psychological problems also coming up, and we have a lot of patients with the multiple problems.
Yes, in fact, I was reading an international report that was done, which shows that the psychological impact post-COVID is also much higher, and many of the COVID patients had actually reported that. So imagine the consequences. It's not just the trauma and the harassment that you will go through at this point, and not just you, your family members, but also what happens later, things that we need to prepare ourselves for, while reminding ourselves that we need to be a lot more careful and will not be able to let down our guard. I'm going to thank all of our panelists for joining us on this special broadcast. But let me just put it out there one more time. It's not just the National Capital Region. It could be any of the cities, big cities and towns in Uttar Pradesh, in Haryana, in Rajasthan, in Punjab. If pollution levels worsen, it's not just about 1 week, it's not just about one festival that's come and gone. It could also be another day, another week. It's not, today the people of Delhi can probably heave a sigh of relief because the day has been clearer, the air has been clearer because of the rains and the winds. But tomorrow, a week later, the challenge will be different. Suffice to say that this is going to be a tough winter. And your only weapon to protect yourself and your family members this time around is a mask and some distancing. Just keep that in mind. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.